Okay, folks, here we go.
Guys, here we go. Let's have a good show.
1B, stand by. Okay,
Yeah.
Yacht,
Yeah,
take it.
take it at midfield.
Take
Just go
it.
right now. Go to camera 3. 3. Go to the gate. Perfect. Just like that.
I'll just go ahead.
Yeah. Graphics 2 is going to be up for the first.
Okay.
Go right now. Go to camera 3. Go. Yep. Go to the gate. Perfect. Just like that. No music.
I'm going to hand to Q. Sophie.
Wait for it.
On radio in the Canal Zone.
All right, guys, mic check.
Go ready.
Okay, Ricky, Mike.
Yep, I am ready.
Wait for it.
Willie, mic check.
Yep, let's go.
1B, stand by.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're live.
Okay, and go for it, guys.
All right, here we go, guys. Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time, and 7 p.m. Canal Zone Time. We are at the end of the month now, July 25th. But howdy, everybody. Happy hour at the Balboa Yacht Club. Ricky, how's it going, man?
It's going pretty good out here on the West Coast. You know, again, we're having that. Actually, no. Last week we had good weather. We're back to coldest winter I spent was the summer I spent in San Francisco. So it's freezing cold out here, guys. Welcome to our show.
Yeah.
You know, we are a weekly podcast, a drinking podcast known as the Happy Hour at the Balboa Yacht Club. A podcast that is completely dedicated to the Panama Canal and to the Canal's own way of life. Guys, thank you, like always, for joining Willie and I. So, Willie, what do we got going?
Well, we got a toast. We got a toast tonight, don't we?
Yes.
There's a special group that's a sponsor of ours, a friend of the show as well, that we're going to go ahead and give a toast to here and check out some of their message real quick before we carry on with the show. You go. So that's Sea Panama Charter. That, of course, is part of the Istmo group, which is Grupo Istmo. That's Captain Andrew Eftimides' group, which also consists of Cascadas Lodge, which is a great bed and breakfast right in the heart of Balboa. Great place to stay if you're going down to visit the zone, because I mean it's right. You know, if you remember behind the police station, you want that road. I believe it was called Empire Street was the name of that road there.
That's correct.
And one of the buildings there, which I guess one of the backdrops back in the day, it's been a while for me, but was the tank farms and then Lubbock and all that area back there. So very close proximity to a lot of things, especially, of course, Amador and the Causeway and everything else. But Sea Panama Charters is an amazing group there. They've got several different size boats. If you've got a small group, just a few people that want to go fishing, if you've got a large group all the way up to 50 or 60, I believe it's 55 is what the can holds. But these guys will take you on canal transits. They've got weekend Contadora trips, and they've got Toboga trips. It's a great time there. So definitely check them out. And the Captain Andrew Eftimides' group, that's Sea Panama, SEA. So check them out. And also real quick, don't forget, guys, subscribe to the channel, SCN Canal Zone. It's on YouTube, youtube.com/@ the @ SCN Canal Zone. Check us out, give us a like and a subscribe, and we'll off here. But anyway, yes, again, a toast to Sea Panama and them being a great sponsor of the show, and of course to Captain Andrew and him joining us periodically with his Pan Canal report as well. So salute to you guys.
Yeah, salute to you guys. He's due pretty soon for an update.
Oh, yes, and absolutely. Thank you, Dave, for reminding us of that whale watching. Yes, they absolutely do whale watching. There's another promo video we'll throw out here in just a little bit, and you'll get to see exactly that, because it's really cool. I never realized that until I started doing this show and talking to Andrew and working with him on some of his video and stuff, that whales, Panama is a big stop for the whales, apparently, when they do their migration. So, it wasn't just a tourist spot for people. Apparently the whales do their tourism down there as well. So great opportunity to go and check something out that a lot of people don't get a chance to see is is hearing or seeing or swimming with the whales. It's pretty fascinating.
Yes,
You know,
and they also, Willie, have a charter that goes through. I'm not sure they go through the locks, but they start right at the locks.
I believe it's a
And
partial transit. At least I know they're doing it
partial
for
transit,
the Canal reunion. But I don't think it's an entire transit. But I think they get to Gamboa, and that's where they typically stop off.
unload, right?
You know, so at least you get Miraflores and Pedro Miguel. You know,
Yeah, and his
or
house, I mean, his lodge where he's has the bed and breakfast
Cascada.
at Cascada. It's an old stone house that he renovated both sides,
Yes.
and he did a really good job keeping the Canal Zone architecture. And it's called a cascada for a good reason. He has a beautiful pool in the back, and then he has a waterfall coming down that is enjoyable, relaxing, hammocks. And he also has a chef that will cook you guys,
Yeah,
his
world
guests, of
renowned.
course, world renowned, that will cook you some good food, when you
And
stay
spa
there.
treatments. I mean, it's a whole complete bed and breakfast there, and absolutely fantastic prices. I
So
mean,
we
I just
recommend
blow
it.
you away if you go check them out on Airbnb and look them up. Fantastic prices. You cannot beat those prices to stay somewhere that you're well taken care of. You know, for sure. So, well, look at our friend here. Good morning. Good morning to you in Japan.
In Japan, right on, man. We
Yeah,
love you guys.
absolutely. Good to see you on the show here. Dave can't hear Ricky. He's been messing with the volume a little bit here. Can you not hear him at all, or just very low? Want to make sure before he starts fiddling with stuff, and next you know,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to reboot.
but well, I want that. Hold on, just it might just be a volume thing. You just
Might
maybe
be a
need to
volume
speak
thing.
up. But Leaf, weapon to you. Salute, absolutely, yes. Salute, cheers to you, brother. Leaf finally made it back to Panama.
Me back to the
To the
U.S.
States. Yeah, back to the U.S. Good for
All
him.
right,
Finally.
good. V.
Paul, how are you? Good to see you. Yes. Yeah, it's low. His volume's low. Okay, so we'll try and get you turned up there.
All right, this is what I'm gonna do, guys. I'm gonna reboot. So I'll
Okay,
be
well, at
back
least
in
because he can hear you
a
fine. If you
minute.
just speak up a little louder, I think you'll be fine, honestly.
Speak up loud. All right, I'll speak right to
Yeah, just
my
pretend you're arguing with me. 'Cause
microphone.
let me tell you what, this guy can, when he wants to, he can speak loud and make sure you don't get in a word in edgewise. So he knows how to speak loud when he needs to.
Me? That's my little brothers. That's not true.
Yeah. Oh, well, look at this guy. I told you, man. He said a couple weeks ago, I'm almost there, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I'll talk louder like I normally do. And we got a good show, guys. We've got a lot of great history, some good historical
Hey, speaking of
bochinche.
history, sorry to interrupt you, Ricky, because I know you got some great bochinche here. But
Yes.
speaking of history, of course, we'll always do our shameless plugs of our upcoming shows. And next week, of course, is the first of the month. So Dave Dahlstrom will be joining us with some amazing Canal Zone history. But along those same lines and along the history lines, next month is August. And of course, August is the birthday of the Panama Canal, right? August 15th is when the canal officially opened in 1914. So we're going to, and coincidentally, this year, the 15th happens to be on a Friday. So we're going to do a lot of things on that show. It's going to be a great show. We're going to have a special Kahoot that Dave Dahlstrom's going to host on Canal Zone and Panama Canal history. So stay tuned for that and brush up on your Canal Zone history. Also, the history of the city of Panama, as you recall from a great song by Shorty and Slim about the city of Panama way back in the 1500s. It was the official proclamation establishing the city of Panama was also on August 15th. So a lot of history, a lot of things to cover on that show. And as a very natural segue anyhow, on August 15th, Shorty and Slim is going to be releasing a new song. So it's going to be premiering on the show here as well. So jam-packed show. And again, all of it is based around the history of the Panama Canal and the birthday of the Panama Canal, number 111, 111. That's what this one we're going to be celebrating. So, but you know, I've been looking up some history on that and some interesting things that I've found regarding the canal and this date, this August 15th date, and things that were going on before that, which started in July as you start prepping. As you can well imagine, a project of this magnitude and this, time frame and length, there was a lot going on and a lot of prep work right at the end there, right? You're getting to the 0 hour and this is a big deal. I mean, the president's going to push a button in Washington and it's going to set things, going over there. And so, it's a really big deal what they have going on here. And so a big month in 1914 for the Panama Canal, the Isthmian Canal Commission, because remember, the Panama Canal Company didn't start until after the canal opened, right? We didn't have a governor until after the canal opened. Prior to that, it was still the Isthmian Canal Commission. It was still a quote unquote, military project, whatever the case was. But some interesting things that I found out about that made July a memorable, a hectic, a dangerous month for the canal and everything involved there, and leading up to that August 15th date. So for one, there was some slides that really kicked into high gear in July. Of course, as we know, growing up and living down there, July is rainy season down there. So, the earth was saturated. This is still fairly new construction, so it hasn't quite stabilized or settled yet. And this happened on the 15th, on the 4th of July. Actually, was the first mudslide, and then about a week or two later, they had another one on both ends of the cliff and almost completely shut it down. So much so that there was concern that they weren't going to have the opportunity to dig it out. You see those pictures there on the right hand side is now the channel with water in it, and you see how much that slide impacted, and you can see both of those pictures is the same corner. You're looking at that dirt there, but you see how far down below it went. And this was one of the big challenges dredging this stuff out, was that it kept pouring back in and backfilling, and it made crossing difficult because of the risk of running aground. And it wasn't all just dirt. There was shale, there was some rock in there, so you risk that whole Titanic situation where you rip a hole in that thing, and now you've got a ship stuck in a canal, which you're definitely not opening August 15th. So that was really interesting. Going back to some of the history we've learned from Dave Dahlstrom, and we just know from knowing the Culebra Cut, that was the what would you call it then? The mountain range, in essence, right? The spine of that mountain range that was at one point in I think it was Gold Hill, was 300 feet, if I'm not mistaken, was the height, as much rock that they had to cut down into to get that level channel to raise it up to the to the lake level. So 100 million cubic yards were removed in that excavation over 9 years, and in those July collapses, over 1 million cubic yards of dirt came right back down in there, and rock and stuff. So this was quite a big deal. One was near Culebra Village, which was near what would be today Gamboa. But if I'm not mistaken, I think it was on the Atlantic, on the West Bank side. And then the other one was Bas Obispo. Actually, it's the other way around. Bas Obispo was in the north side, and Culebra was towards Pedro Miguel. And so that was, obviously you're a month away from the canal opening, this really, really big deal. And all of a sudden you have a mega landslide. And it's not like, it took 9 years to excavate this. So it's not like they had a lot of, yes, the Continental Divide. Thank you, Leaf. It's not like you had a lot of modern equipment to get this stuff out of there. But, Goethals himself monitored it himself, 24/7, basically. Woodrow Wilson from Washington was monitoring it, because this was now, remember, the America's coming out to the world, right? You're going to inaugurate the Panama Canal, wonder of the world. It was a 10 or 12, 15-year undertaking that they've been doing here. And all of a sudden you have a landslide that's going to maybe threaten to close it before it even gets open. So really, really big deal there, among other things. In addition to that, interesting that in July, the ship that you see there on the screen now is the SS Cristobal. Okay. Sister ship to the Ancon. And this ship's claim to fame was that it did the actual first transit. We always know the Ancon did the first transit officially on August 15th. But like any prudent organization, they're going to make sure this thing works before everybody's eyes are on it, and they send the Ancon through, and it turns out that the locks don't open and the chambers don't flood, or whatever the case is. So they did the run before that, the practice run, and it was done by the Cristobal. Okay. And it was announced on the 15th of July. A lot of publications actually tell you that was when that first transit took place. It actually didn't take place till the 3rd of August. But on the 15th was when they decided, hey, on the 3rd of August, the Cristobal is going to make an entire run from the Atlantic side, enter Gatun, go up through all 3 chambers there, get into the lake, and then descend the other direction, Pedro Miguel and Miraflores accordingly. So, interesting facts here about Cristobal in the Atlantic side, a little bit of a theme there. Some interesting information about this and what they were doing, because again, this was a test. This wasn't just, hey, we're the first ones, we're going to go at night to, just for employees to watch. There's a lot of things that, remember, the canal had a lot of new technology, a lot of things that were unproven. They were theories, they were big major undertakings, but they had never been proven, and certainly not at a scale of the size of the Panama Canal. So, one of the things that they were talking about and looking at was, the risk in this. Obviously, first and foremost, they had just experienced a landslide, right, just days before, so they knew this was something, and this had been ongoing since even before they put water into those channels. They had already had these landslides, so they knew that was an ongoing risk, but it was the one they had to overcome anyhow, because if you're going to have a functioning canal, you're going to have to control the earth and be able to remove it as needed if something happens. But there was a lot of electrical systems that were unproven. Electricity was still kind of new technology, especially on a grand scale like this. A lot of things were still trying to, the industrial age had just come to be, and a lot of steam was being used for powering things, and you had a lot of oil and gas, but electricity was not something used at such a large scale until now in the Panama Canal. So that was a bit of a challenge. It was unpredictable. In addition to that, they had no tugboats set up to do this, which was kind of interesting, because if something happened, that ship was stuck. Had no way of getting it to continue to move in one direction or another. But nonetheless, it took place successfully. Interesting here that the Navy was involved in it. They had some engineers there, obviously the lock operators and supervisors, hydraulic specialists, mechanics, a lot of the laborers, the locks employees and stuff. And most importantly, which will obviously make Jim Bradley proud, is the Canal's electrical division played a big role in this, because again, it was a big push for having all these electrical systems. Took about 9 hours, a little longer than normal, because again, they were testing things. They were stopping in areas and letting things maybe go full direction, maybe open them and close them more than once to make sure things are working. And overall, it was a success. Everything operated as normal. They just had a minor delay in Culebra because of one of those landslides to move some of that debris to get the ship through. They said that one of the gates they had to manually open and close it because one of the hydraulic motors failed, which actually being a good thing, because it showed that the backup plan worked as well. So the redundancy was built into it, and it was effective. So interesting how well that worked. And again, the Cristobal now was the first ship to transit, at that time, as the first one to go from the Atlantic to Pacific Ocean through the Panama Canal. Now, the Ancon, like the Cristobal, this ship was built in 1898. It was 4,000 tons. Okay, is the gross tonnage of that. And so here's something kind of interesting to give you a perspective of what that is as far as size goes. So on the screen there now, this is the Norwegian something or other. This ship is 168,000 tons. So went from 4,000 to 168,000 tons. But that's how far we've come along in 100 years. But then back then, that was a large ship. That was a lot of be able to take from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean in a matter of hours, as opposed to weeks and months. So interesting, situation right there. Couple of things they tested. They tested the locks and the miter gates. Obviously, you want to make sure they open and close. Each gate was 700, ton miter gates. Make sure they open via the electric motors. They have timing on these and valve opening rates, which they had to coordinate. Flooding and things of that nature. They tested the electric locomotives, the mules. That was a new technology as well that they had to test. And then the biggest one probably was that water control. There was a lot of concern that because there's no pumps in there, that it is strictly using gravity, that the water flow had to work and had to be perfect. And in fact, it turned out that it was, obviously. And then communications and signaling, right? That's a big distance. There's a lot of moving parts. And all of those things were tested out, and everything turned out great. Big success there for those guys. And then finally, the last thing that happened in this July era, because again, this was a really busy era for that canal. And as you can imagine, on top of just the anxiety of knowing you're getting ready to open the one of the biggest projects that human beings have ever, undertaken. And in July, World War One starts in Europe, and it kicks off. And of course, we know how that proceeded to be. But one of the concerns, one of the things that occurred because of World War One, was a concern for Germany and the Panama Canal, and Germany's concerns that the Panama Canal would be used to the advantage of the Allies to be able to move shipping, goods back and forth, using that obvious shortcut. So, it's a big concern. So much so, in fact, that after the war started, which started at the end of July, once the United States had officially, and they didn't enter the war for a long time, but they certainly favored the Allies throughout the war, and that was always a concern of the Germans. But something interesting took place. Something that the British actually did was intercepted a telegram from the German foreign minister, a guy by the name of Zimmerman. The famous telegram, the Zimmerman telegram. If you look it up, interesting read. But basically, what this said was that if the United States entered the war, Germany then was going to go to Mexico and help Mexico retake their lands in the southern United States, in addition to setting up a new regional government in there called the United States of America. They were talking to Honduras, they were talking to Costa Rica, they were also talking to Colombia about helping them to retake their country of Panama. And so they were very serious about either disrupting or doing something to stop the Panama Canal from being used by the Allies to give them a shipping advantage. And so when this telegram was intercepted, obviously that put the United States on alert, so much so that at that point the United States went into gear and they basically militarized the Canal Zone once again. Because remember, the Canal Zone was a U.S. government project, right? Unlike the French, which was a private enterprise, the United States, they understood that this is something that the U.S. government had to handle. So much so that eventually they ended up with a military leader after Stevens stepped down. But the idea being that this was a military scope project. And once it was finished and the Isthmian Canal was disbanded, they had a Panama Canal governor, which, again, go first governor. But it didn't last long as far as being a civilian operation. It was now quickly, because of World War I and this urgency and this concern that Germany is going to try and do something to the canal, suddenly it became a real big concern of theirs, so much so that, again, they militarized the Canal Zone. They put extra guards everywhere. The day after the United States joined and did war on the Axis powers, Panama joined in and declared war on the Axis powers as well to show that unified front. But they did take German ships that were in Cologne into custody. They did, from that point on, it was mandatory that every ship that entered the canal had to be boarded and had to be searched, again, because of the concern of sabotage. And as you can see on the image there, that was a legit concern. And as it turns out, after intercepting that telegram, that Germany, that is a possible way to help them out with the war. So, just real interesting stuff there, again, about this 1914 era, which was the completion of this giant undertaking, the Panama Canal. And again, guys, we're leading up to this, coming up in a few weeks now, August 15th, which is the anniversary, the 111th anniversary, happens to fall on a Friday. So stay tuned, Ricky. We're going to have a lot of fun with that show. A lot of cool things going on with Alex joining us with Shorty and Slim, with Panama history, canal history. Dave Dahlstrom joining us with a history Kahoot. It's gonna be a blast, man. So I'm looking forward to it, dude. You got muted again. So Ricky's he's been having some audio issues here, and I need a drink after that long monologue there. But yeah, just start talking. As soon as I hear you, I'll stop talking. But right now, it looks like, let me double check one here and make sure that it's not me here. Talk now, Ricky. Let me see. Yeah, you can't hear him. Go ahead and reboot if you need to. But yeah, he's muted out there. So yeah, I'm excited for it, guys. I'm really excited for August 15th coming up. Dave's going to do a Kahoot. It's going to be a history Kahoot. So stay tuned. That should be a lot of fun. We've been talking about incorporating Kahoot into Dave's presentations and make them, where when he's doing something up, for example, he might ask, what do you think this was, or what date was this, and try and guess it before he actually presents the information. So that should be a lot of fun. But also, like I said, Alex Reyes and Shorty and Slim are going to debut a new song, so we're excited to be the premiere of that song for them. And we'll probably play his Panama song that he put out last year, which again, August 15th is not only the Canal's birthday, but the city of Panama. So a lot going on there. Bochinche's coming up here. Stay tuned. While Ricky's trying to jump back on here, I'll go out here and say hello to some folks out there. Paul, good to see you. Talking to the mic. Yeah, I know. He's been working on a few things there, and Leaf said he could hear him fine. Still in Panama. Lee, I can hear Ricky just fine. Okay, so it's hit or miss, but we'll figure it out now. At this point, though, he was completely muted out. Tiernan, good to see you. Yes, Dave. Cheers to all from Texas. Right on, Rich. Good to see you, man. Well done from Texas. Yeah, I'm sporting my Texas coin shirt there. I'm joined this really interesting group, the Bucyrus Club, which is one of our sponsors up there. We're doing some interesting stuff with crypto trading that I'm really, really excited about getting involved in. I've been doing some mining. I'm not buying crypto, although I do buy crypto, but this particular project is about getting in and mining it. And so I'm excited about that. If you're interested, check it out on Facebook. Look for the Bucyrus Club and join us and give us a shout out. We'll be more than happy to show you what's going on there. If you've got an interest in crypto, if you know somebody else that's got an interest in it, definitely let them know about that. Leaf, only 40 horsepower for the gates. Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? And it's one of the reasons why the gates were hollowed out, because the water made them very buoyant, where you could actually control some of that weight there with just a 40 horsepower motor. And it's a really amazing. And when you think about the functionality of it here 111 years later, man, and it still works fantastic. They still periodically float those gates out to overhaul them and all that good stuff. So it's a testament to what these guys built and the the vision that they had to try and do these things with limited resources and limited resources, not just the resources per se, but you could certainly consider, a lot of these in the United States, and it had to be shipped all the way down to Panama, which back then, as you know, wasn't an easy feat. So, a big testament to the project here, and which is why a lot of people mention that it's, it had to be treated like a military project. You look at the scope of something like D-Day, the amount of logistics involved, the amount of things that have to be moved and have to be prepared and set up for that. You don't take for granted, but somebody has to supply them. Somebody has to supply a latrine and food and a place to eat and a place to change and maybe a place to shower and just so much goes on in logistics. And same thing with the canal. Obviously, there was so many moving parts that had to constantly grow and evolve, and that's why it really was a military operation for sure, 100%. But nonetheless, impressive to see what they did there, and looking forward to celebrating that 111th anniversary here coming up here. What's the latest, Bochinche? Well, we're going to hopefully find out here if Ricky gets back on the air here. Fingers he's not going to pull a swift one and bail on me, but if so, we'll figure something out. We'll make something happen here. We'll do something. We'll come up with something. But God, he's always in trouble, that's for sure. From Mississippi, right on, Mississippi Zonian. There you go, Sheila.
I don't know. Can you hear me? No, hear me?
Oh, yes. Right on.
You can hear me?
Absolutely. Loud and clear. Loud and clear. Yes, sir.
I don't know, guys. I apologize for always having technical problems.
You should have heard. I had him rolling. I was telling jokes. I was singing everything. It was great. We had a little karaoke gig. Everything. It was great. It was fantastic. So you missed out on it, brother. But anyhow, yes, text it indeed. Absolutely. That's it. We're mining it. I bought 3 miners. I'm now up to 5 miners, and I'm up to over 300 coins. So fingers crossed. This is a long-term investment for me. I'm not going to cash out in 6 months on this. I want this to be something in 10 years. I hopefully have thousands of coins and they're worth a lot of money. that's my play on this. But it's cool to mine them, and I'm not mining them here at home, so I don't have a big computer running them and burning up a bunch of electricity and making a lot of noise and all that stuff. It's all being done in the state of Texas, where
Alrighty.
energy is cheap and
Now,
plentiful.
Texas has his electrical bills. I'm not bills,
Deregulated.
but the cost of electricity is the lowest in the
It's
nation. is in
deregulated,
Texas.
absolutely. So when you move, you know how when you move in most places in the U.S., you find out who your electric company is that serves your area. That's what you have. What they charge is what you get. In Texas, you move somewhere, and all of a sudden you get brochures from 5, 6, 7 different energy companies going, "Hey, use us." So there's
Yep.
great competition, and consequently, the rates go down. So yes, they are a very, very low energy state for that, which is why a lot of tech companies move. Which is why this mining is being done in Texas, because it's very low energy and can result in more
Yep.
profitable mining. So.
Yep.
Have you ever been in the tunnels underneath the canal? I have not. Ricky, your sister has, right?
Raina has when she worked there a summer, and she told us about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we had a episode a couple months ago where we did a Gatun transit, and we started with gosh darn it, I made sure I wasn't going to forget his name. Is it Tom Hughes from Marine Traffic Control?
Definitely Hughes.
We had David Cohen from the tugboats. Although communication was sporadic. We had, of course, Andrew Eftimitis, our Pan Canal captain, and we had Jim Duffus from the Gatun locks, and they all walked us through a transit all the way from when they start out in the anchorage, right? And they get in and the pilot boards and does all that, and it was really cool. And there's a lot of and there was a lot of talk of doing more with the Gatun locks, because obviously that's the biggest of the locks. It has all 3 levels there. So Jim's going to come back and talk about that. So that'll be really cool. And yeah, Tanya, if you feel free to chime in or even join us and talk about your experience of doing that and going through those tunnels, because that would be really cool to talk about. And if you've got pictures, that would be fantastic to show those as well. So
When I was in 6th grade, Tanya was my neighbor.
Oh, right on.
I don't know if she remembers. Hey, what's up, Lee?
Right on. And
Yeah.
Yep, Fiona says you can hear you. Yeah, I think it was his volume was a little bit on the low side, but Ricky's kind of been a low talker today. I'm not sure what's up with
No,
that.
really?
Maybe-
I mean, it's a time for a new microphone. So
Like he's
we're gonna
shy
have
or
to do a fundraiser
He's
or
like,
something.
do you remember? I'll never forget this. Back in the day, during the I think it was the '88 elections. Remember when Ross Perot was in the race and the admiral was his running mate, and the poor guy, they had that vice presidential debate, and the first question they asked him, he's like, he's a deer in the headlight, man. He didn't know what to say. I'm thinking, poor
No,
guy.
I don't remember.
This is gonna be a
88.
long
Well,
night.
that's a long time, man.
Yeah,
Hey,
it
what we
was.
know about politics in
but,
88.
Yeah, Hugh Thomas. Yes, he was
Hugh
from Marine Traffic Control.
Thomas.
Yes. That was a lot
Good
of fun.
man,
That was a
good
really
man.
cool episode. We learned a lot about, there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of coordination, a lot of handing off. Marine Traffic
Correct.
Control, when it enters the locks, they kind of shut up and stay out of the way. And then as soon as it enters the lake, they're back on with them until they get to the next set of locks.
And what we learned was whatever happened in Gatun is how the canal went operation. So
Yes.
however many boats were going through there, that's how they set up their daily schedules.
So pressure's on Gatun, right? Because they got to perform, because they're impacting the whole canal operation.
That's correct.
That's cool. Anyway, but that's cool, man. So anyhow, little stuff there from July back in 1914. And again, guys, don't forget August 15th. Mark it down. This is going to be a great show. We're going to have a lot of cool guests and a lot going on, because it's again the 111, the 111th birthday of the Panama Canal. So it should be a good time.
Independence
and it is
Day for us.
So it's also Shorty and Slim's going to put on their tune. So, but we've got our own tune. We've got a really cool tune he loves as well. So why don't we put that on here and talk about not 1914, but talk about 2025, what's going on in Panama with Ricky's Bochinche.
Stuff going on.
El bochinche, 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 el bochinche.
There you go. Right on.
All right.
Yeah. And listen, and she does remember you.
Yes.
El Prado,
Oh,
you know.
sure, she did. We were great neighbors, and there are three
Everybody that
sisters
lived
that
in
I
El Prado
love till
remembers each
today.
other, man. That was a
Yes.
cool place to live, man. That whole neighborhood there
El
was cool.
Prado. So we did a lot of 4th of July of fireworks. Our families would set up our chairs out there, and we'd all sat. It was the
We had a
best
great
of
view from
times,
there.
Tanya. Tanya remembers. I'm glad you did, Tanya. Well, let's get going. We'll start with our first segment of today's Bochinche. Will be our Zonian legacy. As you guys know, we lost a bunch of cool people this week. Ozzy Osbourne left us, but one Zonian that left us this week was Hulk Hogan, third generation. Although he wasn't born there, his older brother was, his mother was, and his grandmother was. So now we know where Hulk Hogan got his toughness from, and his good looks. The guy kind of cool looking from his Zonian mom. So there you go, Hulk Hogan, Zonian.
Well, check this out. Hang on a
Have a
second.
good time up there with the
let
boys.
me share a screen real quick with you, Ricky. And I'll show you something real quick that
The Canal's own documentary.
Don Fishbowl sent me.
Oh, Don Fishbowl. Because the Canal's own documentary had a thing on the Hulk Hogan. And that's how we learned about his grandmother being from the zone.
Oh, here we go. Check this one out. So there he is.
Add it to the screen. There you go.
Tanned, obviously, because that was Terry's way. But there he is, and it's mentioned, that this guy was his. I guess what was it, Ricky? His mother was from the zone. Is that what it was?
His mom and grandmother.
Okay, there you go. So 4 generations: father Terry, which is Hulk Hogan, his daughter Brooke, great grandmother Vernice Moody, and grandmother Ruth Moody Bolea.
Yeah,
that's
Ruth,
really cool. So
it was the first Zonian down there.
Right on.
All right, so Zonians. Another Zonian legacy to talk about. Beer drinking.
Well,
Here you go.
Here we go.
They came out with who drinks the most beer of all the Latin American countries.
Okay.
5th place, Chile. Right? Legit. 4th place, Argentina. Legit. A lot of people there. Oh, this is per capita. 3rd place, Brazilians. Wow. You would think they'd be in 1st place, but 3rd place. 2nd place, Mexico. And brings us to the question of the day. What Zonian legacy could we have left to be the number 1 beer drinkers of the world, in the Latin American world? The Panamas. Panamanians are known to drink 81 liters per beer per year. That's equivalent to 1 case. So if they had measured the Zonian way, I think we would have, doubled that.
I think
case a year,
but those numbers have gone down. I think back in 1978, that number was even further up.
Even further high. Yeah, you're right. We are drinking a lot less. This generation are drinking. But Panama consumes the most beer per capita than any other Latin American nation. So right on to those guys. That's out of Zonian legacy. So cheers to being the number 1 beer drinkers.
Salute, everybody. Heck yeah. That's a great one.
Another one of our Zonian legacies, my very good friends and all our very good friends, Jerry Curtis. Jerry right now at 61 is now part of Team USA. Top 6 riders in the nation make the Team USA. Team USA now is racing in Europe. It's in Spanish is Federación Internacional de Motocicleta, so International Federations of Motorcycle. He is racing next week in Poland, representing the United States, one of 6 in the enduro class. Our very own Jerry Curtis, man. And then
the guy doesn't stop. He keeps winning, though, man. I mean, at this age, every few weeks he posts on Facebook another win
in the nation.
Incredible, man. Absolutely incredible.
And he'll be on the show the week after if we can get him on, the week after the 15th. He'll come back and talk about his Poland experience. And then after that, he has another race in Germany.
Right on.
In a place called Sichapao, which I thought was like China, but that's freaking Germany.
Yeah, right.
Sichapao, that's it.
Yeah,
Sichapao.
that's awesome.
So yeah, that's what we got going with our Zonian legacy. And then so we're going to move.
And don't
Hey,
forget,
what
guys,
is-
that every January, at the end of January, he does a ocean to ocean motocross race, going way off the beaten path. I mean, this is a challenge. This is something. I mean, if you really got to be a
but
good
they
motocross
do,
rider,
and he always wants me to mention this. They do have, expert level, middle, and beginners for all of
correct.
us that want to participate. You don't have to be
Yeah, Ricky and I will do it one of these years, and we
a
will be
Team
on that.
USA rider to do that. You can go
Yeah,
on the.
we're gonna ride somebody else.
Yeah, he'll actually will ride with you. He'll ride with any Zonian. I'm sure
Yeah.
he will. So everybody, cheers to our boy Jerry.
Yes,
Keep him in
salute,
your
Jerry.
thoughts, and
Right
good
on,
luck
bud.
to him. And I hope he represents. He always wears Canal Zone patches, Panamanian flags. He always represents.
Always does. Yep. Give me a call on that Texas going, Jerry.
Maybe we can get him to wear our
Bucyrus Club.
No, not Bucyrus, but our Balboa Yacht Club thing.
Happy out the bout. Yeah, even better. Right on.
All right, Class of '81, boss.
Man.
So we're
That would
moving on
be cool,
into
that's showing World Championship on TV, and all of a sudden you see that happy out the because we have the decals and they are waterproof. They're
We're gonna
weatherproof.
start giving those away when we do more
Start sending you
cahoots.
those.
Yeah.
on.
So what else we got going on that you guys want to know about today, Bochinche? 1998. This is coming from our very good friend who's going to be on the show soon from PRR Railroads, Noriel.
Yep.
He informs us that in last time 98 was the last day that Panama was operating railroads. Now, this is a little story that probably nobody knows, but the reason I know is because my uncle told us one day at lunch or dinner or something. When the Panamanians went to negotiate the canal at first, they didn't go there with the intention of taking everything. They just didn't want the courts, the license plate, the shopping. They wanted those things out for you to integrate with Panama. At no point did they want railroads and all the other stuff out. The United States was going to still run that, but Jimmy Carter said, "Hey, all or nothing." So of course the Panamanians were like, "Well, I guess it's everything."
Jimmy from the Canal Zone,
right? So Panama didn't have a way to operate that railroad. And if you guys remember, you guys especially because you guys were living during that time, that railroad went to, it just got destroyed, right? But in 1998 was the end of it. That's when they decided that they were going to sell it, a concession. And of course, in 99, we all know the Panama Canal Railroad Company out of Kansas bought it and got the concession, which in turn they sold it to a Canadian company, which in turn they sold it to Merck, I believe. I could be wrong on that. But anyways, during this, cleaning up the old railroad for the new company to bring in their own tracks and their own locomotives, they discarded everything and sold it for scrap. But they saved one train, one of the packer trains. Jimmy from the Canal Zone, Willie. One of the passenger trains was saved. There's only one left. Everything else has been
scrap
for scrap.
Yes,
and it's train number 262, which you can catch at Summit Gardens. So if you guys are in Panama, Summit Gardens has been improved a lot, by the way, and the new mayor is doing a major investment in it as well. He wants to make it equal to Miami one. Why? Because of the eagle. The eagle was born in Miami, and those two zoos now are working together. So if you want to see the last of our Canal Zone railroads, there's only one left. Train 262 at the Summit Gardens.
Yep.
Yeah,
Jerry is a great guy, man.
All right.
Fantastic
Before
guy.
we get into Willie to talk, get into comments and say hi to a few people, let me give you a little bit of sports update. If you guys remember Roberto Kelly, another Zonian, he has just recently won his 400 team as a coach. He coaches mostly in the Mexican League, a team called Los Sultanes. But many Zonians know him, including my little sister, who's very good friends with them. So is Ralphie Furlong. So congratulations, Roberto, for your 400th game. And then also on the baseball, guys, since we like to talk about our very good athletes that are doing absolutely great in the major leagues baseball, there's a new catcher prospect that played in the All-Stars game this last July. Eduardo Tate plays for the Phillies. So we'll be watching him coming up, but he's a big stud coming up. Maybe the next Johnny Bench.
Right.
All right. Well, let's say hi to some people there, Mr. Willie.
Sure. Yeah, let's go ahead. And we've been throwing them up on the screen here, but we'll go ahead and start over again. Why not? What the heck?
Oh, okay. You know what? I wasn't around, so I missed the first one.
Yeah, he disappeared there. But
I
this is our friend. and I don't want to mess it up, but I believe it's Tsushita Akiro. And he's a good friend of Norier Garcia, speaking of the Panama Railroad. And this guy's a big railroad aficionado. There was an interesting story that he mentioned when the first diplomatic delegation from Japan going to the United States, going to Washington, back then in the 1800s, before the canal was built, of course, but getting from the West Coast states to Washington, it wasn't like, getting on I-10 and going across the interstate to the East Coast there. It was obviously a lot of the United States still in the interior was very undeveloped. And so it was actually more feasible for these guys to sail down to Panama, take the Panama Railroad, and then from there, then sail up to Washington. And they stopped in a town in Panama along the canal route. And it was San Pablo, wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken. And we were looking for it on the map. We finally did find it, and it was, I guess you could say it was a little bit north of Gamboa, somewhere in there. But ended up being actually literally underwater, where the canal, the channel, literally went right over that town. But anyway, he's tuning in or tunes in to say hello to us from Japan, and of course,
we have some Japan news in Panama. Let me jump into that while we get back to comments.
Great segue.
In the logistics column segment of our Bochinche. And right now is trying to fund and build the new gas duct that we're building from the Atlantic to the Pacific.
Correct.
And they're going to be doing it. And not only that, Japan and Panama are going to now have direct flights because of the Japanese want to invest in Panama. Willie, this all has to do with Panama getting out of those blacklists and then their credit rating going up.
Correct.
So, yeah. So that's a little bit of Japanese news for our friend. Out there, Willie.
Yeah, I was reading what he put on the screen there. Vinieron a los dos como para pareja, por supuesto, le hice un recorrido, pero con Matsushita. Yes, okay, Akira. Yeah, so he went down in '93 and took his family, his brother, and then of course they did a tour of the zone, and the whole canal and everything. But great story. And then of course it was interesting to see that this big delegation, and it was a large delegation. It wasn't like 3 or 4 people. It was like 60 people.
Happy birthday!
That, ended up going down there and did all that. So yeah, really cool. It's cool to have somebody tuning in, watching us from Japan.
Absolutely love it.
We've learned a lot about Japan, and he's learned something about the canal from us. So
yeah,
kind of little information exchange there, international information exchange. Right.
Well, happy birthday to you, sir. We see that you're there. You're going to be celebrating birthdays.
Yeah. Yep.
Mitsubishi made the mules. That's correct. That relationship, but not the last ones. The mules. You're right. Last tugs coming out of China, but the mules I think are still made by Mitsubishi. Guys, so last week or a week before, we mentioned about owning if you have the Panamanian passport, you can go into like 90 countries. Well, now because of our great, again, everybody loves Panama. Now it's 148 countries that don't require Panamanian visas. I mean, don't require Panamanians to have visas to go there. So if you want to go to Taiwan, go right ahead. You go right in.
Heck yeah.
So that's what we got going. All right. Willie, let's talk about the bridge a little bit. Last week we talked about it, but we didn't really have a picture. This week we really want to show you guys this picture of what's going on, because we're a little concerned, guys, that this bridge, which is going to serve a tremendous amount of people, a very good improvement for the country, but on the flip side, kind of eliminating some of our more favorite towns. Yeah. To be specific, here we go. What you guys are looking at, guys, is the east side of the bridge. In other words, on the other side is Howard. On this side is Balboa. So you're looking right there is Sosa Hill.
There's Sosa Hill.
And look at how they're cutting in.
Looks awful with trees, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's the trees. Show that if you to locate right there's the commissary where his and then the Balboa Field, Balboa Stadium.
Yep, this is Balboa Stadium. Here's Balboa High School all the way on the end here. That's the 600 building. Correct.
So that's going adjacent to Roosevelt Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
You guys remember where the tennis courts were and the shop building and the drafting
would have been right
office?
Here.
Yeah. So it's right around there, right like where the shoe store was. It's kind of go
The
right over
electric,
the
where the electric division was.
electric division
Yep.
was.
Lori, I
So
think your dad, Lori Nickerson was just on here just a moment. I think her dad worked in this area right here. So all
Yeah.
that's gone, or it's going to be
that's
gone.
gonna be gone.
And you know the Panama Railroad, the Balboa train station, although it's closed because now, as far as passenger service goes, it ends in Corozal. It doesn't go
Corozal.
all the way into Balboa. All that stuff to your right on the image there. In fact, right here, if you can see where I'm moving the mouse there, that's the building where the pilots and stuff was at Pier 18, at the entrance to Pier 18.
Correct.
How big and massive this all is. It's on this side as well as you cross the street there. But so there's nothing going on as far as the Balboa train station goes. It's been closed for a long time now, but it's recently been designated a UNESCO
Correct. They're going to
World
restore
Heritage
it.
Site. So
I mean, I hope they're restored. I'm not sure. I've heard that they got the money for
well,
it.
at least protected. It can't be demolished.
Protected.
It can't be, messed with. So yeah, hopefully they will. You know, I would think they would. I mean, it does have a significance to it. And truly, although you're going to have those big pylons and that overpass there, literally across the street from it is the admin building. So you are going to still have that connection there, regardless.
Europe was going to be at the same level as the admin building.
It looks like it
when
will
you
be
look
based
over,
on
you're
that
going to look
drawing there.
directly into the admin building.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there might be a positive, like you're going to be able to see Balboa from 300 feet in the air, or that's about 200 feet in the air, 200 feet in the air at least. Yeah. So our concern, guys, is, I mean, that's it. This is like I said, this is going to do great nation, and especially on the west side, to bring all those people to the capital to work, because their commute is 2 hours, right, for a 20-minute drive. But what concerns Willie and I and a lot of Zonians is when right now that road is not connecting to La Cinta Costera, which takes you out to the airport, which is one of Panama's biggest arteries. So eventually they're going to have to connect it, and the only way we're seeing them connecting it is going on the other side of Sosa, then getting over to across the causeway, across the Amador Road and Balboa Road, and into Chorrillo or wherever they're going to connect to the Cinta Costera, or like Willie said. Yeah,
they might just Willie right across La Boca and then connect with the road from the old bridge.
Right. So that's probably what they're going to do. So in other words, La Boca is going to look like that. Balboa is going to look like that. So there might be
it wouldn't make any sense to not connect it somewhere in that area from the other highways up there, because the other thing, what you don't see on this side, but if you can envision it, is on the left hand side there, obviously you'd see the admin building and everything else there, but also you have Ancon Hill there. So you're talking about a highway going all the way around all that and then going through all those areas of Panama City to connect with the other road. Doesn't really make a lot of sense. So I do believe that there's something coming off that bridge on the other side of Sosa Hill there will connect eventually to the current Thatcher Ferry Bridge road traffic goes.
Yeah.
It makes sense. But here's the other interesting thing, Ricky, on this picture here, this is what really gives you a great perspective of this. Look at Sosa Hill there, and if you see the old road going into La Boca there, you can still see it down there.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
look
you
how
can.
far in that highway cuts in. They're literally going to shave off the side of Sosa Hill and work this there. Which one way what it's going to be like. It's going to be like what happened with Ancon Hill. What we know to see Ancon Hill with that flat face, it's all been, no trees or whatever that we knew forever. That actually used to be an area that was covered, and that was the quarry that they ended up naming Quarry Heights.
Quarry Heights.
Right. And that's what they're going to do with Sosa Hill now. They're going to carve the side of it out so the highway can go through there, so you don't have such a drastic turn to cut into it, to join the bridge. That's a great picture. It's a great angle to see that.
Yeah, but it's to me, God, because
sad.
When they connect to the other highway, it's got to be a similar road on the other side of Sosa, and that's La Boca and Balboa.
Yeah,
and that's what
just
it's going to look like.
A little piece of Barnaby and that central part of Balboa is the only thing that's going to be left.
Yeah,
and eventually you'll probably have a elevated highway connecting all that as well.
Connecting these two together.
Yes,
going through like Balboa, Balboa Road.
I could totally see that.
Yeah. All right. Well, progress. We got to move forward. I think thing forever, but we thought we want to share that with you guys, our great listeners and viewers. That's what we got going there. All right, let's keep on with our bochinchas. We do have a lot of good stuff.
The runway in Albrook's still open. Yes, that actually. So back in the day, what was Paitilla Airport ended up closing. They just developed that into obviously buildings, condos, whatever else. And they moved it. And the name of that airport back in the day in Paitilla was Marcos A. Gelabert. And they changed this one in Albrook to that name, the name of that airport. And that's, some people call it the new Paitilla Airport, or you get whatever you want to call it. But yes, it is open to answer your question.
I think they're going to
John, it
relocate
is
that actually, and they're going to turn that into like a city of government buildings, and they're going to relocate them to Howard, right? And then, anyways, that
I'll tell you
bridge.
what, it's, for us, it's sad because it's not the Canal Zone that we grew up in. So we see that, all these remnants of it are definitely going away. But you got to hand it to Panama as far as city planning goes and growth. They do a great job. I mean, they've,
Well,
those.
see, that was the main complaint of the city planners in Panama. Because of the Canal Zone, they couldn't expand organically the way a city should expand. They had to expand linear towards Tocumen, and created a lot of traffic jams and those kind of things, because they, that doesn't work.
And you look, for example, look at the highways in front of Howard Air Force Base. That entrance there, my God, it looks like an Autobahn. It's just massive highways.
Yeah, we've shown you videos on that, guys. It's impressive. It's impressive. Yes, and that brings us to our part of our next segment, which we'll call the logistic hub segment, because Panama now is just Panama's got 4 pillars, right? The Panama Canal is one pillar. Banking is another pillar. Agriculture is another pillar. Logistics is another pillar. So we've always been leading, in our area and in our neighborhood, a place where all the ports were, the important ports, right? We're the first and third biggest ports in Latin America. But La Prensa, because everybody wants to push the economy in Panama, because, everybody, you guys hear on this show, the potential is ginormous. So La Prensa put together a forum of all big logistic companies worldwide to come out and talk about logisticals issues. So all the big guys were there, Merck, all those other big guys, they all were there, and they all said the same thing. Panama is 15 years behind ports, and other cities like Chile, Peru, Ecuador, even El Salvador, Costa Rica. Yeah, those guys have all stepped it up to take the all that that movement of containers in the America, right? So they had this forum in Panama and said, look, you guys got to start building ports. So Willie, maybe we should get the map up. And before some of the projects were held back in courts because, some ports, we're not going to mention names, were against any other ports growing so that, they can hog all the business, but it didn't allow Panama to grow. So we're talking about this because Panama has, like this week, 5 new ports being built. 2 are going to start. I mean, the bidding starts like within the next 12 months. In the Canal area too. There's other ports being built in the nation. We'll talk about that in a minute. But in the Canal, 2 ports are being built right now. One in the Pacific side, Corozal, and I think all you guys know exactly where that is. So it's right past the spinning club, on the same side of the spinning club. Remember those jungles that came right past it? We're right there. That's where it's right where the alligators, the entrance to the alligator little reservoir. Remember, we always had crocodiles, alligators, all that stuff hanging out there. For all you people that partied at the swing bridge, could always see them down there. We would throw bottles at them. Yeah, I think they got rid of the swing bridge. The good thing about the swing bridge was you could see who was coming, so they could get rid of whatever you had to get rid of.
Yeah, I believe you're right on that. Hold on.
Yeah, so we have a port going there, and then another one in the Atlantic called. I don't know if you Pacific Siders know where that is, but us Pacific Siders don't. Atlantic Siders definitely.
Well, hold on. Let's go back to the Pacific side you were talking about earlier.
Let's go to the Corozal.
Okay.
I think
so here's the port of Balboa.
All right, go up to the causeway. All right. I think it's that land right there. All that land right there.
Okay. Makes sense because here's Corozal right here.
Yeah.
Right across the way.
All this land.
Oh wait, no, Corozal's over here. This is Corozal over here.
We'll make it a little smaller because it's hard to see. Well, it has to be the lower one. It can't be the upper one. That's a good one. That's why we need Andrew.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it's in this area. In that area there on the, right past the spinning club.
Which and maybe that border, maybe because look at this line here, that could well be Corozal. This could be all considered Corozal.
Mm-hmm.
You know. But
You know what? The other ships are coming out. So
this was one of those things. I think there was that technical argument when this whole Trump argument first came out about whether this was really, did China control the canal and whatnot in the ports. This was one of the areas of contention because this plan to build this port in Corozal
been around
for many years.
20
and
years.
It's blocked by the Chinese port consortium that ran the Balboa port, which they said encroached right in this area here. And that's what they were trying to block. So I think that was one of the arguments they were using. And these guys had a say in what could go on in the canal because, heck, they didn't even let another port get built there.
Yeah. Then Molino showed up and put order to that. Oh, we love Molino on the show. All right. So we got one port. The other one is in Templars. I don't really know where that is, guys. From what I heard, it was
the Atlantic side.
Yeah, on the Atlantic side. It was the furthest most. On the right side. What that be? South. No. That would be east.
Yeah, this is the east side.
Yeah.
East Bank.
So Templars.
And there's Colon Logistic Park.
Uh-huh.
The Zona Libre is over here somewhere in this area here, if I'm not mistaken.
So I believe it's right up to the top there.
This here?
Up in that area, yeah.
Yeah, because they were talking about this port here, which before, remember, they started to build it and never finished it. Is that the same one? That's this right here. This whole area here.
That's the new port.
Because you see the infrastructure was there and then it never finished it.
Correct. Yeah. And then there's going to be three more afterwards. One in the Pacific, two more in the Atlantic.
Do we know where? Or we don't know where?
No, not yet. But Captain Andy will tell us. Captain Andy was supposed to be on this week, but he traveled to Europe. And we'll go over this stuff with him. Exactly where all these ports are going to be.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so.
And then of course you guys know the watershed project. Rio Indio.
That's a go now, isn't it?
It's a go. So those are the three goes plus the gas duct plus the train, the bridge.
Well,
the
and what we mean by a go, in other words, phase one of that. And phase one is getting people to move because they're going to have to negotiate with people and they're going to have to pay them because there's a lot. It's about 1,500 residents, if I'm not mistaken, is the last I had heard. That they have to convince to move out of that area because it's going to be flooded. Very similar to what happened with us with the Gatun Lake. There was a lot of municipalities there, and they were saying, hey, you got to move, man. This is going to be part of the
I know, that was Gorgona, Frijoles, a couple other towns we lost. Yeah. Well, which brings...
That's what they're going to get ready to start doing.
Yeah, they're starting to buy land for the watershed, but they're also starting to buy land for the railroad that's going to Chiriquí.
Yes,
and now that like we mentioned earlier, now that Panama is out of the blacklist, England now wants to fund the Chiriquí train project, $6 billion.
We have a lot more.
Yeah, sound garbled.
Access to money now.
Willie, we're gonna have to invest into a microphone. Your partner here.
We did. We're upgrading. We're going to get that going here. If you want to help us out, certainly buy us a beer. You can do that. That'll always help us as well. But we are definitely going to upgrade to that stuff. Ricky's got some other stuff on the way, some green screens and stuff, so that we can sit behind the bar here as well.
Yes, but and thank you to our sponsors.
Yes.
So the French want to build the railroad. The English want to fund it. So we got a lot of European participation.
Yep. But the Chinese
out buying land. So a lot of farmers are going to be getting rich for the next couple of months.
They are.
But actually, it's eminent domain, so they only pay going rate. So I don't think you can negotiate.
Interesting. It said that when the map was up, your sound was garbled. Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Hey, Vern.
Check that out. Appreciate
all
that,
right. Speaking of ships, Panama's always been the number one registry of ships, right?
Yeah, that was
right now. We're up to 420 ships, a 13% increase for all you legal potheads from
big
California.
Business too, let me tell you,
420.
That is one of those that typically the consulate of the country gets that gig. and they make some great money doing that.
Way too much money.
Yes.
I had a relative that several relatives that were, I shouldn't say that, but they were consuls, and yeah, I know about it.
Yeah.
It's 13% increase in our ships being registered to Panamanian flag. And you know what? I
Sure.
wonder if do they get a break? Like, do they go first online because they're the Panamanian registered, or do they pay a little less? What's
I
the
don't
deal?
think so. I think there is some advantages to. I think it's from a cost standpoint
Mhm.
that they do it. I'm not sure exactly what the advantage is to having Panama. The other big one is Liberia. You see a lot of ships have Liberia. Usually, see it on the back of the ships. They'll say the name of the ship, and then there's a country name on it, and that's your country of registry. They technically are registered in that country, and what that does a lot of times is offers certain benefits of protection as well. You know, in some places they'll remember way back during the Iran-Iraq war, where all of a sudden all the Iraqi ships, they reflagged all the tankers under U.S. flag simply because then if they got attacked, now they gave the U.S. an excuse to strike back because now you attacked the
Did the
U.S. asset.
Houthis hit any Panamanian ships? I
I
doubt
would
it. I never heard.
imagine. I would imagine a lot of those
I don't
ships
think
hit with
those Houthis were
because
messing
they
with the
have a lot
zone,
of the
man.
ships are Panamanian registry, so it stands to reason that if they got the majority of them are their flag, that better odds of getting hit.
I'll look into that, but I don't think
And I
any
don't think they're
Panamanian
concerned
ships
about the
got hit by
Panamanian
the
cruise missiles
Houthis.
coming after them either. So
Yeah, I think we got spared. They know better.
well, I mean, heck, these guys are dumb enough to try and attack a U.S. aircraft carrier, so they their things.
All right. Well, speaking of petroleum, not that we were, but
What a
gas and
great segue with this guy.
no, we're talking agriculture. Panama agriculture. You know, we've mentioned it the last couple of weeks with Mercosur and all the cattle
Yeah.
going up. A couple things happened. The U.S. now, the USDA now, is in Panama. You know, they're coordinating, and Panama is basically going to be the U.S. Whatever it's the USDA, the people that check the meat and the stuff. Mercosur is going to be shipping everything out of Panama now.
Yeah.
So one of the ports that all this stuff is going to be shipping out of is in Chiriquí. That's where we have a lot of cattle, and the places that process all that. Well, we're reporting on this because a Zonian is involved with this project up in Chiriquí called Baru, El Puerto de Baru.
Okay.
And that, if you guys, all you boys out there and girls, of course, remember Hammer Construction. Well, the owner of Hammer Construction, Weiss, and one of the Panama Canal administrators, Willie's good friend Sosa.
Yeah. We're tired, man. We're like this.
Yeah, Willie's good friend Sosa, together with some American investors, $250 million worth of ports are running this port up in Chiriquí. So that's a Zonian up there jumping on this. On this, and this week also mentioned, Panama's sending cacao now to exporting cacao. Now that the USDA is down there, papayas now, piña. As well as the regular bananas and fish products and all the other stuff that we've been and plantains that we've been exporting. So agriculture in Panama looks really, really good. So the government is just not taking care of the city and the canal, but they're also investing big in agriculture. And why I'm mentioning this is because Panama is ramping up. I mean, we call that cranking up ethanol. They're going to start producing ethanol out of sugar cane and try to get the country off gas and use more ethanol. I always say seco verano, you can probably run your car off that stuff, man. I don't know why they don't use that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Jesus Christ. So yeah, Panama agriculture is on the rise, guys. All right, moving right along. That's been one heck of a bochinche.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Let me see. Well, we got here. Listen, guys, 1962. Little bochinche from back then. Canal Zone bochinche. What we have going, if you guys remember, between on the way to Paraíso, like the what do you call that? Highway there for not Friendship Highway. Gaylord Highway. Yeah. There was the Lakeview Golf, a little part 3. In 1962, right around this time, July 28th, was when the golf course was inaugurated. It was
Oh, yeah.
located on the former Red Tank ball field. So that used to be a town that disappeared with the canal,
Oh,
the
that's
Red
where
Tank.
Red Tank was. Okay.
Yes, now I
Now
know.
that gives a little
So
more
that's where the
perspective.
ball field was. So
Cool. Okay.
it was a membership club formed in 1957, had 30 active members, one of them being, of course, the governor, Fleming, and who was, by the way, the honorary member #1. They got together and they went up to the superintendent of grounds branch and of course the former governor, which before Fleming it was W.E. Potter,
Okay.
and they went to him to get permission to use the ballpark to turn that into a small golf course. So the governor, the Canal Zone's always been huge into golf, and so
Yes.
these 30 guys got together, put their money. Governor got Canal Zone money, got grounds to give them some goodies, and they started putting that little golf course together. And I remember it, of course. I never played it, but I do remember because they sold shark meat there. So Jerry Curtis and I always used to stop there and get shark meat and crystals because we were into crystals, drinking crystals, to be different because everybody was drinking soberanas and Panamas. So we wanted to drink crystals to be a little, we wanted to be different, but that's what we were drinking.
I think in the mid 80s,
Early 80s.
So Soberanas started getting,
yeah, Zonians came in about 78 around there, 79, 78.
That's when it actually started becoming the alternate.
Right, because you could just chug those all day long without even getting a buzz. But so we would stop there. I remember they had shark meat. So anyways, 1962, right around this time, they inaugurated that. It's probably still around. Who knows? Anybody out there can let us know. Also, July 27th, what else happened in 1962? All you guys bring you this story because I love this area and I don't know much about it, which is Morgan Gardens. And you guys remember Morgan Gardens? Right there by the Chinese. That little.
It was
Chinese
by Mirror Forest Locks.
Right by Mirror Forest Locks, right on that side.
Yeah.
I remember it, but all I remember was the entrance had those beautiful palm trees, right? Well, that place. Let me tell a little story about Morgan Gardens. Morgan Gardens is for Mr. and Mrs. Morgan. Mr. Morgan, Canal's and Mrs. Pat Morgan, who we're going to be talking about. Charles Morgan was her husband. Pat Morgan during this time was honored by Panama, was given the distinct, this very, very honorable, the Order of Vasco Núñez de Balboa Award.
Sure,
that's given to the top citizens. Yeah, great honor. So she was honored with that by the Panamanian government for the work she had done. She was recognized for all her work that she did with flowers and gardening and that kind of stuff. So she had like a Panama renowned annual flower show that was well attended, and she also had free classes on how to do floral arrangements and such, and that was 300 people at a time would attend her classes. And so her mom actually started the flower business, and they were located over by where the Panama Railroad was, and that used to be where the laundry room was, the Ancon Laundry, which is now a Denny. And at one time, it's actually a commissary. Well, that's what they used to live. That's where their farm was. And they had a greenhouse. And they used to provide all the flowers for, Canal Zone events and, the flower shops in the Canal Zone and the commissary when you buy flowers. Anyway, she provided all that. So when they needed that for the railroad, they relocated them in the 1930 to Pigeon Hill. It's the name of that hill where they relocated them. And they gave them the plot back there. And of course, it was all rock and stuff like that. And so they came in there and they started, blasting the side of the hill away because it was all rock. And this is where the Mrs. Pat Morgan, you guys remember till today, that she planted the royal palms on one side and coconut on the other. So I don't know if you guys remember that. And then also they planted banyan trees. They're famous in Hawaii. And I didn't know they were in Panama, but they have banyan trees there as well. And so
those are great looking trees too.
Yeah, and this woman, not only that, she also designed all the gardens around the Universidad de Panama, and provided all the ornamental plants to it as well. So this woman was the landscape architect Canal Zone ever had. And not only that, she had a club, by the way, called Cardenas River Garden Club. And members were all the president's wives, the general's wife, the doctor's wife, et cetera, et cetera. It was just like this exclusive club of women during those 30s and 40s in the Canal Zone. So that is my little story on Morgan Gardens. Oh,
Yeah,
she
that was
also
always
had,
the place. You always saw that sign, like you said, and you're going in
yeah,
there either when you're going past Miraflores
yeah.
or you were
Going in
turning
there.
in to go to the to the observation and all that stuff. But I never went in there either. I remember seeing that entrance, but I don't ever recall setting foot in that place.
Me neither. They had a tremendous amount of events. They had like outdoor concerts there,
Wow,
and they had all kinds
we
of
missed out on that one,
Canal
huh?
Zone events there. Sponsored by
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Morgan family as well as Canal Zone organizations. But man, it
Eh,
was a great
there
spot.
you go, Will. Missed that one completely.
Yeah. So, anyways, guys, Pam, congratulations to her. We're recognizing her great time. I mean, her great
Yeah, heck yeah.
achievements in the Canal Zone. Now we're going to talk a little bit 1971, guys. This all comes from the Canal Spillway. Willie and I on Tuesdays, we talk about, hey, we're going to talk about that. Then we do our research, but we love going into the Spillway. Every time
Yeah.
we're in there, we find these stories where we're like, oh, that's not part of Bochincha, but what the heck? Let's tell all our viewers about it because there's such great stories, man. Another story I got here, 1962 construction story. Something about the Canal Zone that in the 71, the governor decided, we should do the numbers. Decided, you know what, we're going to start renovating and putting money into the Canal Zone. We're going to fix everything from
Right on.
gyms to houses to road. 1 year alone just to do all these little restoration jobs, 6.125 million. The
Wow.
following year, 7.4 million. Now, if we do that's probably $100 million today,
Yeah,
maybe
it's a lot of money.
$80 million.
You're talking
So
70,
between
80
the
years ago,
two,
100 years ago.
$150 million. And now they did like residential renovations, right? Oh, they widened Balboa Road. I remember the setups, but I remember being a kid, but I do remember a lot of things looked new. Remember,
Right.
they redid Balboa Road. They did some, they did some pipeline work to the docks and Dock 7 in Balboa. Put in all the jalousie windows all over the Canal Zone. Remember the jalousie windows, the little ones that were open, and then you would just easily fix them, and then floor tiled everything with that really nice tile that we had. The Balboa bowling alley was redone. If you remember, our lanes were really clean.
Yeah.
Because 71s by the time I was bowling with all my buddies in Balboa, John Canzero, a bunch of us, and I remember the bowling alley was brand new. So this is 71, guys, around July time. That's where H. Homa became really big in construction.
Yes.
Zonian, Dillon Construction.
Weren't they on the West Bank?
H. Homa West Bank, yes.
Yeah.
Dillon Construction too, but one of the two companies that got the most of those humongous contracts. That's what's going on. Now, to wrap up this historical Bochincha in 1971, there was all you guys that grew up during that time. You think there was a new coffee house in Balboa that was inaugurated called The Inn. And this was for 16-year-olds and over. It was kind of, I don't know if you guys knew the terminology beatnik. In my opinion, this is what it was. It was kind of like a beatnik type. This is before the hippie movement, right? This is in the 71. That was already the hippie movement.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it was on San Pablo Street, across from the Union Church. I guess it's that street that came down the side of St. Mary, down to St. Mary's and onto Balboa Road. I believe it was there. It was one of the houses. They just they had a little coffee house that was open. Listen to the hours: 8 p.m. to midnight, Monday through Thursday. So I guess all the Bible high school students would go to their study, and then they would have music, dramatic readings, painting, black lit rooms.
Oh, those are
and they
cool.
also had sample kitchen specialty. All the kitchens were stocked, so people would go there and try different dishes. But it was 16 to 18-year-olds just hanging out there. So anybody in 1971 that was hanging out there, let us know if you ever went to the Inn in Balboa. So that's what we got going on, the historical Bochincha.
That was cool. And those black lights were cool back in the day, man.
The what?
The black lights.
The black. Oh, I remember my neighbors, my older neighbors, the Woods, Robert Wood and David Wood. They had black lanterns and the
those are
cool
cool, man.
posters that would
Yeah.
come on and the stuff like that. Yeah, but my parents didn't let us have that. We had like Disneyland posters and little tigers and because Mom, I want to put posters in my room, right? When we were kids. No, I couldn't put the Black Sabbath and stuff like that. We had like La Pollera. Matter of fact, I still got that poster. Well, last thing, Canal Zone Museum, guys, in Panama. If you're in there, it's in Casco Viejo. TripAdvisor just named it one of the top. Oh, it was voted within the top 10% of the best museums, international museums that is being visited. So people are going to this freaking museum, which we haven't even talked about. I mean, we should talk about. It's one of the top museums in the freaking world, the Canal Zone Museum, by TripAdvisor.
Right on.
Awarded the prestigious award, Traveler Choice Award, and positioned top 10 best museum, international museum. And that came out on Echo News. Yes. Where the KC was? What is that question? Oh, where the KC was.
Yeah,
that was the inn. Oh, no, yeah, makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. I was going, where would they use a house? I don't recall no house being used. All right, guys. So that's guys. Now, let's talk a little bit about cacao. If you guys are investing in stuff, invest in cacao. Why? 40 times. And Panamanians are investing it, by the way. That's why we're talking about it. So I got it off Panamanian News. Cacao has 40 times the antioxidants than blueberries.
Okay.
40 times. Right on. Has magnesium, serotonin, dopamine. So cacao. That's where the money is going to be. Panamanians are.
And they're going to start exporting that anyway.
Yeah. Like coffee. Cacao is also one of the top. Like coffee in Panama is one of the best beans. Well, cacao from Panama also considered one of the best.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. So that's what we got going, man. In our beautiful country of Panama, a lot of progress, a lot of work.
Way to go, Panama.
We have some great Zonian legacy going on. We're become the number one beer drinkers in the world. Zonian is representing Team USA all over Europe. Our own buddy, Jerry. Come on, man.
Jerry,
and
salute to you, Jerry.
Nothing but good news on our show.
Motorcycle career, man.
The bridge is kind of a sad news, but it is a good news that it is serving a very, very
from a Panamanian standpoint, you're proud of it, and the country's growing. It's you're not going to stop progress.
Can't stop progress, but it
is what it is.
It sucks to see Balboa and La Boca get cut up like that.
Hey, that's what we have this show for. We go back.
That's what this show. To keep it alive, to keep this thing, but we're here. Like Alex likes to say, we're here, we're alive, we're performing, we're representing. So let's keep it up.
Yeah, no, indeed we are, man. And so, but real quick before we move on, let me again give a little bit of a shout out to our friend Andrew Eftimitis and one of our sponsors, Sea Panama Charters. Somebody mentioned earlier, Dave Dahlstrom did about the whale watch. Another great thing you get. Again, the Cascada Lodge is also the second half of that brand, and that's that bed and breakfast right in the heart of Balboa. So if you're going down to Panama and you want a place to stay, that's where you got to do it.
Tell him we sent you. And again, he's our sponsor of our show tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you for that. Absolutely. But anyhow, guys, so listen, really, really good show tonight. A little bit on the short side, but that's okay. We've been.
Oh, your partner's loving it.
Yeah, of course.
When I get out of here, is that we 1.5 hour shows.
But nonetheless, next week, stay tuned again. It's the first of the month already. August is upon us. Great festive month, and no better way to kick it off than having Dave Dahlstrom, our Canal Zone historian, join us and give us some cool Canal
good history.
Yeah, we learned so much from those Canal Zone history lessons from him.
Yes,
So,
we appreciate David Dahlstrom. We do. We have learned a lot. We have learned
without
a
a
lot.
doubt,
Thank you.
Dave's great. He look at that. He didn't put that screen on there, but no, he has a lot of great knowledge. He brings a lot to the table there, a lot that we didn't learn. Again, that U.S. curriculum was basically it was U.S. It wasn't a Panama Canal Zone curriculum, and we've even learned, as Ricky's mentioned, that even in Panama itself, that lady that has done that recent tribute, to the '64 riots and giving it a whole different flavor. So we are learning a lot of cool things, and we're looking forward to learning more of that moving forward. Anyhow, guys, thanks again for joining us. Next week, don't miss it. Dave Dahlstrom, Canal Zone History. And again, leading up to August 15th, the 111th birthday of the Panama Canal. We're going to have some great coverage there, guys. We're going to have some really cool stuff. Remember, it's not only the Panama Canal's birthday, it's the city of Panama's birthday. It's going to be a world premiere for a new Shorty and Slim song that they're releasing. And then, of course, we're going to have some cool to show here on the show as well. Dave Dahlstrom will be making a second appearance in the month. We don't usually get that. We only get the one a month. But he'll be joining us as well, doing a really cool history Kahoot that he's going to host here. So stay tuned for that.
And we're going to have some nice gifts for you guys.
Yeah, we are. We absolutely are. We're trying to work some stuff out with the Pan Canal Museum and help support them and promote them, which, again, a lot of the information we get it from that wonderful collection. Check them out as well. But anyhow, have an awesome weekend. And Ricky, you do the same. Have a great weekend. Get us out of here, man.
Guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We appreciate this every week. We appreciate you guys watching us and participating with us. Till next week, stay safe, and we love you very much.
Take care.